Good Yule, everyone. So today I'm going to be presenting the giveaway for the MTG 31 Days of Christmas. So this was done in collaboration with MSJ Alters and myself, and we're going to be giving away a commander deck with an altered commander and a couple of extra goodies that I'm going to toss in. Also, there is a $10 gift card from Card Kingdom and a bundle of goodies from Wizards of the Coast that I'll explain here in a minute that were provided at no cost. So, big thank you to all of our sponsors. And the moment you are all waiting for, the winner is Bobby Clark. An admin will be in contact with you for your shipping address, and we'll get this out to you as soon as we can. So, with the Commander deck, it's going to be something a little bit different. So, if you've been following what I've been doing, I write deck texts that are janky. So, what I've done with this one is I've created a story. It's not a true MTG story in the fact that it is not. It's the best way to put it. It's fan fiction. It's not canon or anything like that. I will give a disclaimer. I am not a nonfiction or a fiction author, so this is probably not going to be something of the highest quality, but it can't be any worse than those War of the Spark Forsaken novels. So what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll explain the story using the deck. So congratulations again to Bobby, and if you want to hear the story, please stay tuned. And we're back. So the Wizards of the Coast package that the winner will be receiving includes a playmat, a deck box, a sleeve set, a life pad, a wall scroll, 10 booster packs with 2 from M20, 2 from Throne of Eldraine, 2 from Ikoria, and 2 from Theros Beyond Death, plus 2 additional random packs. So thank you to Wizards of the Coast for generously providing this product to us at no additional cost. So they're one of the sponsors. I'll be shouting out the sponsors at the end of the video, but we have a lot this year, and there's a lot of other content creators. So with MSJ Alters, she has made just an absolute gorgeous altar of Borborygamos, enraged, as you can see here from this altar. So this is going to go with it. And I'm also going to include a Yargle, because everybody could use a little jank in their life. And now I'm going to be going through the story that I wrote. So again, a disclaimer, I am not a professional author. It's fan fiction, to be honest. It may not be the greatest writing, but it serves the purpose of telling the story. So this is all about Borborygamos and how he awoke in a strange place and was given a strange task. So this takes place during the winter solstice, and essentially he doesn't know if it's real or not, but we'll go through the deck. So it starts out on Ravnica with Borborygamos being frustrated at the situation and having to deal with the Gruul clans and constant challenges to his throne ever since Domri had taken the mantle of leadership from him, only to be killed by Nicol Bolas, and the clans had to ask Borborygamos to be a leader again. But ever since then, he had been hit with challenges, and so it was on the eve of yet another challenge that he went to bed, and he woke up in a very strange place. Now, he did not know what was going on, and it was cold. Much colder than it was when he had gone to bed. And so he wasn't sure if he was at a polar region of Ravnica or what had happened, but it didn't make sense. He was approached by a group of wood elves, and they asked him to help complete the rites of spring. Now, what was going on is, in order for the wood elves to experience spring, they had to complete this rite. And they explained to Borborygamos that they had to unravel the Aether in order for in order to bring him here to complete these rites. Now, this didn't make sense. Why can't you complete this yourself, he asked. Well, there was an Ohran Frostfang that kept attacking and killing the elves as they tried to complete this. So they offered him flattery and begged him for help, and finally, with the promise of being returned home, he agreed to help. They explained that he needed to go into the Highland Weald to find their kin and druids in order for this rite of spring to be completed. Now, they did give him some gifts before he left. They gave him a bag of holding that was emblazoned with a Gruul signet. And again, he asked, what do I need to deliver? And they gave him a bunch of sticks. Now, Borborygmos has a bit of a short temper, and that was not something that made him happy. It didn't make sense that he was being sent out to take sticks to people. Well, they explained that the groundskeeper had cultivated these sticks specifically for the rites of spring, and that without those ingredients, the druids and the elves would not be able to complete the work. And the Frostfang kept attacking in order to prevent the rites from taking place, so that it could keep the snow, because it thrived in the snow. Now, as Borborygmos was hearing this, he thought, well, maybe this return to nature will be something that can help him, because ever since he had returned to the leadership of the Gruul clans, he just hadn't felt as though he belonged. He didn't feel the wild spaces the way he did before, and he just was tired. So they told him to go into the north until he found the Firewild border post, where he would find the Dryad Greenseeker. And this would be what helped him. This would be the first one that he would need to go. So Borborygmos took his journey into the wilds. As he was going on this journey of discovery, before he got too far, one of the wood elves stopped him and gave him a gift. They gave him Arkram's astrolabe in order to help him on his journey. And it was something that would provide him mana even in the snow-covered mountains and forests of the Highland Weald. So the further he went, the colder it became, until he came to that Firewild border post, where he met the Greenseeker. He gave the Greenseeker the ingredients for the rites of spring, and the Greenseeker gave him a gift as well. The Greenseeker gave him a Kalani gem, and told Borborygmos that when he was at his lowest at the journey, all he had to do was grasp the gem, and it would help save him. So, still grumpy, because he's in this very cold place, doesn't know what's going on, and he just wants to get done so he can go back and deal with another upstart challenger. The Greenseeker gave him directions to the Snow Fortress, where he would then meet with the barbarian guides. But he gave him a warning to keep to the paths and don't go exploring off of those paths, because he could be lost. So Borborygmos, he ventured further into the Highland Weald, and as he traveled, the terrain became more and more snow-covered until he was surrounded by snow-covered mountains and forests, with no unsnow-covered lands around him. Eventually, he saw this snow fortress, and as he approached it, an arrow struck the ground in front of him. Now, this kind of shocked Borborygmos, because everyone had been helpful up to this point, and a voice came out from the fortress, "Are you friend or foe?" Borborygmos explained that he was sent by the Wood Elves to help complete the rites of spring, and the gates opened, and the barbarian guides came out, followed by a spring bloom druid. Now, the guides explained what had happened is the druid had been attacked by the minions of the Oran Frostfang, specifically an Oran Yeti. Now, the druid had fled and had sought refuge with the barbarian guides. And Borborygmos asked what else might he encounter in these lands. Well, he was told he could see a conifer worm, frost web spider, and a Carplusian wolverine. So they offered to take him to the druid's house, which was just a short distance away, where they would help stand guard, but Borborygmos needed to hurry on his journey because the Frostfang was close to being able to wipe out the remaining druids who were going to be completing the rites of spring. So they warned him that the conditions in the Highland Weald included whiteouts that would make it difficult for him to find his direction. Now, they gave him Arkham's Weathervane in order to help guide him to find the true path to where he needed to go. Now, the barbarians climbed aboard their woolly mammoths, and they began their journey to the Spring Bloom Druid's house. Eventually, they got there. Borborygmos reached into the bag of holding and gave the Spring Bloom Druid the ingredients for the rites of spring. Now, they told him, he's like, okay, now where do I go from here? Well, you need to seek the horizon and head deeper into the Frostwalk Bastion. As you go there, you will encounter a Rime Tender and a Boreal Druid. Those are the last two druids that need the ingredients. But beware of goblins. The Orhan Frostfang has the help of goblins who love the snow. The rite has to be completed immediately. So Borborygmos was very eager to complete the task, and he set out. And as he was heading towards the house of the Rime Tender, suddenly he heard a noise in the snow-covered forests. He stopped and tried to figure out what was going on, and he was attacked by a Carplusian wolverine. Now, Borborygmos quickly snatched up a piece of a snow-covered mountain, threw it at the wolverine, and scared it off. And Borborygmos was pleased with himself because he was able to master the wild spaces and come into harmony with them at that moment. However, he was not paying as much attention as he should, when suddenly he was attacked by a goblin ski patrol and goblin snowmen. Now, this caught him off guard, and he didn't know what was going on. And he thought maybe he was reaping the past, suffering the consequences of his past actions. Well, Borborygmos was not one to be so easily overtaken by mere goblins. He snatched up pieces of the forest and the mountain and threw them at the goblins until they were slain. And after that, a voice called out from the forest. I cannot believe that you slew them so easily as if they were not there. Borborygmos wanted to know who was talking to him. So he called out and said, "Who are you?" Slowly, the Rime Tender came out of the forest. And Borborygmos said, "I have been sent by the Wood Elves to help complete the rites of spring." The druid was ecstatic because the goblins had chased the Rime Tender out of their home. And they weren't able to complete the preparations for the rites of spring. They did not have the ingredients. And Borborygmos came to their rescue. And so they went over the snow-covered mountain to the Rime Tender's place of dwelling. There, Borborygmos gave them the ingredients for the rites of spring and instructed the Rime Tender to begin the preparations for the rites immediately, and that by nightfall he would have completed his mission. He then set out to find the Boreal Druid, and as he went deeper into the Frostwalk Battalion, he came close to a glacier. And this was very close to where he needed to be. Now, at this time, he was not paying as close attention because the end of his mission was in sight. He saw the home of the Boreal Druid and the Boreal Druid standing outside. And as Borborygmos strode through the mountains and the forest to reach there, Suddenly he was attacked by the Frostfang. Now, only Borborygmos' years and years of doing battle and engaging in combat saved him. He was able to dodge the first attack. But the Frostfang was relentless. It struck again and again and again, and eventually it was able to bite Borborygmos. He felt the venom surging through his veins, and he knew that all was lost. He fell to the ground, and as he lay dying, he remembered what he was told by the Greenseeker Dryad. When all seemed to be lost, he needed to just grip the Kalani gem. He fumbled into his bag of holding, and as he grasped the gem, suddenly he felt as though he were wrapped in vigor. He felt the power of the wild spaces surge through him. And as he breathed in the air, he could feel the power of those wild spaces that surrounded him, and he could feel the connection again. Now, this shocked the Frostfang because it was expecting an easy victory after it had bitten him. Revitalized, Borborygmos sent the forests and chunks of the mountains at the Frostfang until finally it was slain. The Boreal Druid ran up to him, and Borborygmos gave the Druid the last ingredients for the rites of spring. As the Boreal Druid prepared for the final steps of the rites of spring, as Borborygmos sat by that glacier, he had a revelation. He was able to connect with the wilds around him. And the wilds not only revitalized him, but became the very weapons that allowed him to defeat the Frostfang. Now, he had expected some sort of sign when the rites of spring were completed. However, nothing happened. The Boreal Druid told him it would take several weeks for the signs to begin to appear, but Borborygmos had saved the day. And so Borborygmos headed back to the Wood Elves, and when he returned, they threw a feast in his honor. They gave him mounds of mushrooms and roast vegetables. There was a suckling pig, and best of all, they had barrels of mead. So Borborygmos, with his belly full of good food and good mead, drifted off to sleep. He then awoke with a start, and he was back in his cave. Now, what had happened was something beyond all of his wildest dreams. But he wasn't sure that it was real. It felt as though it was something that was just a dream. Now, Borborygmos still had to deal with the challenge of the morning, but he felt revitalized. He knew what he needed to do, that he needed to protect the wild spaces of Ravnica and push back against the encroachment of the city. Now, as he prepared, he walked past the bag of holding that had the Gruul signet emblazed on it. He didn't notice it, though, because his mind was deep in thought. He also did not know that ever since he had defeated the Frostfang, he had been shrouded in a snake umbra to signify his defeat of that foe. And so he went out in the morning to face the challenge, feeling revitalized and ready to take on all challengers. So this is the story of Borborygmos. All of the lands are snow-covered for this deck. Now, if you want to read the whole story and my mediocre fan fiction, the link will be down in the description to the full article. Once again, I cannot thank the sponsors enough. We have so many this year: Alter Sleeves, Lotus Council, Exotic MTG, Geekified, Ultra Pro, Card Kingdom, and of course, Wizards of the Coast. I apologize if I've left anybody out. I'll have a list of the sponsors here on the screen. So what the person will be getting is they will get this entire, Bobby, you'll receive this entire deck, I'm going to send you a copy of Yargle because I love Yargle. It's fun to make janky Yargle decks. Not nearly as bad as people think. People underestimate Yargle, and you can't. You basically slap something that gives Yargle Infect in, it's a one-shot kill. So you'll also receive a deck box containing the deck, and you'll also receive the items from Wizards of the Coast. So we cannot thank you enough for joining us today. Hopefully this has been an enjoyable video for you, and we wish you all happy holidays. And Bobby, be on the lookout for an email. You might need to check your spam folder or junk folder, depending on the case, but an admin will be contacting you to get the shipping details so I can send this out to you. So MSJ Alters and I thank you all and wish you all happy holidays.